Well, hey team, welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody's doing well. It's been a little bit since I did a recap, but I did just want to drop a little bit of a military retirement update and capture the journey thus far and some of the things that we've been dealing with. So we made the move to Thailand from Okinawa here over the summer, and we've been getting settled here more or less, if that's even a thing. But departing the last duty station was a bit of a doozy. Had a bit of, well, not really issues, but had some learning and some processes to deal with to get out of there on time. But I think I've covered some of that in a previous video, especially in terms of like the IPAC out processing and just getting a hold of your DD-214 before departure. But like I said, I've covered that in a previous video, and if you have any questions on that process, please just drop me a comment. So anyway, once we got the family unit all together here in Thailand, one of the first real impacts of that retirement / move was going to be just arranging for customs clearance and getting delivery of our household goods, what little bit we shipped over right to Thailand from Okinawa. And that's really where today's main topic begins. So here are my thoughts on the process, and I'm just kind of glancing at my screen here so I can run through my list. But these are my thoughts on the process, and they may or may not necessarily match up with what you have in mind. This is just my take and how our journey kind of developed. So first thing is the JTR, or the Joint Travel Regulations. If you're going to be moving your household goods from one OCONUS destination to another OCONUS destination, and maybe not even necessarily OCONUS, but just an overseas assignment. In our example, we were in Okinawa and we were moving over to Thailand, to where my wife is from. But anyway, the Joint Travel Regulation is the first thing you really want to start taking a look at. Link is going to be in the description, and that's going to be your guiding terrain feature along the way, and lay out the rules and regulations for how you work that move process. In the most recent PDF version, the retiree kind of business starts around page 260, and I think it's like a 500 some odd page document, so it's a good read. By and large, the bulk of it won't apply because there's lots of special situations outlined throughout that thing. But you really just want to go in there and look for the retiree / like final move kind of stipulations. But anyway, within the JTR, there's mention of selecting an alternate out processing station. This may or may not be key to your overseas household goods delivery. So for the Marine Corps, the default separation locations are going to be Camp Pendleton, California, over on the left-hand coast, and then Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, over on the right side. Anything outside of that, you want to make sure that you route the proper requests, and some of that has to go to Headquarters Marine Corps, but you may or may not need to get some clearance from within your own chain of command too. So just things to think about. So if you're overseas and that is your final post, like ours was Okinawa, then it might be advantageous for the government to move you to another foreign location, vice sending your household goods all the way back to your home of selection or home of record. So as long as it's advantageous to the government, cost-wise, you're likely to be in a good spot. In our case, that was moving from Okinawa, Japan to Thailand, and so the cost savings here outweighed the government having to move us all the way back to Mississippi, which would have been my home of record, or another home of selection elsewhere in the States, right? So that's really the JTR and how some of that works. And then just some thoughts I had on the process. If you are abroad and you want to move your household goods to an alternate or to another overseas location, your home of selection, reach out to DMO early. That's going to be key, right? And I'm talking not like a month early. I'm not talking like 2 months, like, probably 6 months or so out. I would start talking to DMO about what you're thinking about. Let's see, especially with the peak season coming up. So June, July, August, everyone in the Marine Corps is getting ready to move around. So DMO is going to get bogged down. And then months out, they'll be putting stuff on the calendar for the moves that they can facilitate. So don't get left high and dry, just due to your own lack of planning. The next point I had on there was just limit how much you were moving. Maybe sell off those high value items. Have you got 3 or 4 big flat screen TVs on the walls, grandma's cuckoo clocks from Germany, or whatever the case may be, or anything really fragile? Maybe it's better to set up your own shipping to get that stuff back home so it can sit with someone else, or maybe you just want to sell that stuff off. Anything super fragile, just think about it before you move it. Next big point that I thought about was just researching customs clearance requirements. Liquor, food items, different countries are going to have different lists of items that are banned, that you cannot process through customs. So when I initially started talking to DMO, they were like, hey, are you moving any liquor from this location to your next? And I was like, actually, we have a couple of bottles of liquor at the house, and I guess, sure, we'll go ahead and ship them, So my guy that I was working with was just like, yeah, just fill out this sheet for it, and then you'll be covered, and bring it back to your next appointment. So I filled that thing out, and I put our 2 or 3 bottles of whatever on there, and I think they were really just gifts that people had given us. We just didn't want to toss them. But even though I got that all set up and filled out and turned in and everything, once we started digging more into the customs clearance rules for Thailand, you find out that you can't import liquor, anything over, I think it's 1 liter. So whatever country you're moving to, just think about that. Other items were, I have a K-bar knife that's affixed to a plaque that I got years ago. So that's a weapon. That's a blade of over however many inches long. So that's something to think about. And then if you're going to send an NCO or an officer's sword or something like that, they may have rules on you importing bladed weapons. In our case, it was good. They're really just decorative items, and they aren't necessarily weapons. So they were packaged and labeled as such, and we've got them here with us now. I just haven't decorated yet. Maybe I'll do that at some point. Let's see. What else did I have here? Talked about liquor, talked about food items, weapons, and stuff of that nature. As you start to plan and move through your process of just moving all of your things, keep all the parties on the same page. So you may get emails individually from DMO at your home station, and then you may start to get emails from the company that's going to be facilitating your move or doing all the computer work for it on the stateside side of things. And then you may start getting individual emails from maybe the folks that are going to be involved in the customs clearance kind of stuff. In our case, that would have been our dude here in Thailand that facilitated our move. But as you get those individual emails, make sure you CC all back to that. Keep everyone on the same sheet of music, you know what I mean? That's probably real easy for someone that's been doing staff work for a long time, but just things to think about. That way everyone has the same picture of what's going on. Let's see. Yeah, even if it's just a simple email message like, hey, how's the process going? Keep everyone on the same sheet of music. As you send documentation from one party, make sure the other parties have it. I think that's really all I had to say on the international household goods move part. But best of luck in the process if this is something that you're getting after or something that you just wanted to research. In other news, so my separation date was 31 August. 2 weeks into September, I received my VA claim decision letter, which was a huge relief because I wasn't sure how much longer it would take, right? So that was only 2 years after, or 2 months, 2 weeks rather, after I separated. So that's good. And then just today, right? So it's the first week of October now, and I finally just got all that stuff in the mail. But you'll get it via email before you will via snail mail. So that's good. That's all set. That's locked in. 30 days after separation, or 1 September, I received my first military pension payment. So just remember to log into your MyPay account and select that retiree account and adjust your federal and state tax withholding as needed. Otherwise, you may see a huge tax bill later on. And that's huge, right? So a lot of retirees get out, and from watching, Chuck the bureaucrat, and some of these other retiree channels that talk about the process, you'll see where folks won't get in there and adjust that federal and state withholding, as needed, but federally it's going to be taxed regardless. But not do that, and then you'll end up with a huge tax bill later on in the year. So let's see. So come November, so just think EAS, and 30 days out from that, you should start getting your first pension payments, and then add another 30 onto that, and that is when you should start getting your first compensation from the VA, and that's with the assumption that you did like I did and did the BDD, or the benefits delivery at discharge. Don't do a fully developed claim if you can avoid it. You may not be able to. Yeah. My wife snuck in here and is messing with me. Sorry. She was trying to get a jump out of me. But anyway, 30 days out from separation, pension kicks in. Add another 30, so 60 days total. Past that, and then you should start getting your first VA compensation. Let's see here. Make sure that all of your direct deposit information is all accurately captured. So on your DD form 2656, before you separate, you want to make sure all your information's on that. And I think there's a little checkbox that you check to say that, hey, I want to use the same account that I've been using earlier on in my active duty days. It's pretty simple. But then also get on your VA profile and make sure you update it on there as well, because that stuff won't be captured on your 2656. So the 2656 has specifically to do with your pension, whereas the va.gov is going to be your compensation from them. What else? I think that's it. That's all I really wanted to ramble on about for this one, folks. I'll tag in some random snaps here from in Thailand, and best of luck in your retirement journey. Cheers. Bye.